Good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Duncan, and I am the Medical Office Manager for Doctors Finger, Hand, and Foot. Today I will be talking about how to be an effective healthcare manager. Did you know that the healthcare management industry is expected to grow by 16% between 2008 and 2018? The role of a healthcare manager can be in many different direct and non-direct settings. Let me share some direct, which means providing care directly to the patient, versus non-direct, and that is the support care of the patient through products and services made available to direct settings. Hospitals, clinics, and other outpatient facilities and provider settings are considered direct settings. Pharmaceutical, medical equipment, and healthcare consulting firms are considered non-direct settings. Let's continue talking about how to be an effective healthcare manager. Whether it is direct or non-direct, these healthcare managers must exhibit conceptual, technical, and interpersonal skills to aid in their organization's success in both internal and external domains. Healthcare managers must also practice functions and styles of management. In my presentation today, I will focus on these two concepts: the 5 functions of management and 3 primary management styles. The 5 major functions of management are planning, organizing, staffing, leading, and controlling. I will discuss all 5, and for each function I will provide an example of a management task or activity associated with that function. Let's first cover planning. Planning is a management function that the manager must be able to know what needs to be accomplished and needs to set a course for accomplishing those goals. Some of those goals might include annual performance targets for the organization, goals for various departments within the organization, and setting priorities for the organization. An example for this planning function would be a manager reviewing the 2017 organization's performance. To do this, he or she would look at each department, understanding those that met their goal, those that did not, and why. This data and understanding the organization as a whole will then allow the manager to ultimately set the organization's 2018 performance goal. Next, let's talk about the next function of management, and that is organizing. This is the overall design of the specific area of the organization a manager is in charge of. This also includes designating reporting relationships and interaction with other areas for the functioning of the department. Other important aspects of this organizing function include determining positions needed, team assignments, distribution of responsibility and authority. An example of this organizing function would be a manager that has just been hired for the startup of a new physician group. Let's take, for example, that there are 8 doctors in the group. The manager must determine all the types of positions and number of positions needed, make decisions on supervisors for each of the smaller units, such as accounting, scheduling, etc., and determine who each employee reports to and define those responsibilities. In addition, determine the interaction the group will have with external domains such as labs, home health agencies, and others. Let's talk about the next function of management, staffing. This function is the hiring and retention of human resources. This also includes developing and keeping the workforce. Some strategies to be successful in staffing include additional training for positions that offer such training, creating opportunities to move up in the organization, allowing us to retain experienced staff, and encouraging cross-training of employees in their areas of interest. An example of this staffing function would be a manager researching local seminars for their nursing staff and allowing each nurse to attend 2 seminars per year. A second example might be of a manager who is working with human resources to create additional opportunities for employees to move up in their current positions, such as a customer service representative 1, 2, and supervisory roles that cover the medical staff's phone lines. Let's talk about the next of the 5 functions, leading. The function of leading is the ability to determine what needs to be accomplished in an organization or department and getting the employees to do the work to meet the need. There are different types of leadership. We will discuss transactional and transformational types of leadership. First, transactional places an emphasis on procedures, contingent reward, and management by exception. Next, transformational leadership places emphasis on charisma, personal relationships, and creativity. A leadership style is the approach a leader takes in providing direction, implementing plans, and motivating people. An example of the leadership function would be how a manager implements a plan to meet the company goals and the motivational techniques he uses to do this. Maybe he chooses to take a hands-on approach by volunteering in each department 1 day per week, performing tasks to assist each department in achieving the goal. This allows him to demonstrate by example that he is committed to the goal, no matter what it takes. It also shows that he values the personal relationships with his team and shows he is offering a creative approach to help meet the goal. Next, let's talk about controlling. This function of controlling is the overseeing of staff activities and performance. This includes taking necessary action for corrective actions to increase performance results. Some examples of this might include mandatory overtime to meet a deadline, working weekends to meet a deadline or goal, replacing lower management that were not driving the results necessary. An example of the controlling function would be a manager reviews the claims in-house versus those filed and recognizes that this month's goals will not be met. As a result, the manager requires 8 hours of mandatory overtime to be worked by all staff to catch up on medical claims that must be filed within 30 days. Next, let's talk about the 3 management styles. Those are directing, delegating, and discussing. We will discuss each style, its strengths and weaknesses, and describe one scenario in which using this style would be appropriate. Ideally, it is best for managers to use a combination of these styles, selecting the appropriate style for the given situation. First, the directing style. The directing management style is where the manager communicates with their employees expectations and instructions. This style is one-way communication. The directing style includes the following components. Communication, which is one way from manager to employee. The employee listens and follows the instructions. Coaching, the manager tells the employee what they need to change. Next, decision making. The manager identifies what the problem is, looks at options for resolution, and makes a decision. Last, recognition. The manager may give this as positive feedback in a given instance for completing a work task well, or it may be part of company reward and recognition program or in an employee's review. The strengths of this style are the employee will have clear direction as they are told what they need to do, and they just listen and follow the instructions. The weaknesses of this style is the employees are not encouraged or permitted to propose another solution or idea. But one more thought on that, the strength of this style is for employees that like to have clear instructions and just complete the task. This would be very positive for those types of employees. A scenario where this might be used. A manager of a call center communicated to their call center representative that their tardiness in logging in and out of the phone system must improve to 95% within the next 30 days. At the end of the 30-day time frame, The associate's timeliness of signing in improved to 98.5%. The manager recognizes the employee improvement in their next employee review. Let's now talk about the delegating style. The delegating management style promotes employee growth. The manager will give general instructions to a related task or goals, but then allows the employee to work alone or in a group to complete the assignment or tasks or goal. Communication. The manager assigns the task or goal and the employee follows up with questions as needed to gain the understanding to complete it. Coaching. The coaching is done by the employee for themselves. In other words, self-coaching. The employee critiques themselves by identifying what went well and what went wrong. Decision making. The employee makes the decisions as they work through the tasks and goals, learning by doing. And recognition. It may be in the form of rewards or positive feedback for working well independently, providing quality work, and having it completed on time. The strength of this style is that the employee feels empowered and motivated to grow professionally and show what they are capable of doing. The weakness of this style is the employee may not be able to work alone or in a group without supervision. The employee may feel anxiety to have to self-coach themselves and really look for a manager to do this. A scenario where this might be used. A manager may use the delegating style on a project to outline the processes of new group implementations and make suggestions on how improving the current processes. He asked a seasoned employee that has worked in the new group implementation area for 3 years and has been looking for opportunities to show off his skills. He allowed the employee to choose if he wanted to work independently or in a small group. The manager told the employee he could come back as many times as necessary to ask questions for clarity. He also provided him a firm deadline. Next, let's talk about the discussing style. The discussing management style encourages dialogue with their employees. The manager asks open-ended questions to get the employees to provide their thoughts and feelings. The manager encourages the employees to not just give opinions but provide facts to back them up. The communication piece of this with this style is it's two-way. It can be done with either one employee and one manager or multiple employees and managers. The coaching, the manager asks the employee to evaluate their performance. And the decision making, the manager and the employee work together to understand the problems, identify and evaluate solutions to make a well thought out decision. The recognition piece is given to the employees that express their ideas. Praise is given for ideas and observations. The strengths of this style include the employee feels that their opinion matters as long as they have the factual content to back it up. They also feel more of a partner with management because management is asking for their thoughts and opinions. The weakness of this style is if a manager is not careful, the employee can dominate the conversation. Managers should prepare questions in advance to ensure the discussion goes as planned, not as the employee chooses. A scenario where this might be used is a manager decides to have a discussion on what went well in a peak season versus what did not. The manager's goal is to have discussion with prepared questions and look for factual answers on the feedback and ideas on how to improve for next season. I hope you have found these management skills very helpful and will allow you to be an effective manager. Thank you for attending today.